who, again, I am so excited to have here in person with us live on our show.
Yeah, without further ado, I'd like to introduce my friend and future business endeavor, good things to come, Octavio Gandell.
Hey, how are you doing, South Florida? And I just want to give a shout out to a couple of my friends that own gyms that are actually putting this on their air right now at their gyms. So I really appreciate that. Thank you for giving me that support. And also I have people all over the world actually linking in right now, even in Spain, my family. So I'm very blessed to be here, and that's why I wanted to actually be here, because the energy of both of you is amazing. So I knew that if I was just home sitting there, it wouldn't be the same. So thank you for having me here, and again, I love what you guys are doing, and especially to talk about health and also about passion and about what you're supposed to do in this world, and you guys are following that, so it's a blessing.
Thank you, and we're, delighted for you to be here. So talk to us. Do you want to maybe start?
Yeah, I mean,
15 years ago, maybe.
Well, the main reason I was here and I was asked is because people know somebody today or have been affected with somebody that has gone through cancer.
Yes.
My life was pretty much perfect life, pretty much 29 years old, and running gyms and managing gyms and doing a lot of great things and helping a lot of people and doing my passion and modeling and acting and things like that. But I got diagnosed with cancer in 2004, found out that it was a terminal cancer, and after an immediate surgery I was re-diagnosed in 2006, and and I always say that those 2 years were a preparation for what I was going to be battling in 2006. So of course I credit a lot to my faith in God to getting me through it and giving me the strength to keep going on, and actually believing that this was actually not only a testimony but the reason I was alive and the purpose for my existence. So everybody always looks for main meanings about why am I here and what do I need. Well, the main need is love. Everybody needs to be loved, and we look for that acceptance, and then from there we go into why are we here, what is the reason for our existence, and it's not to be working certain jobs or certain things and be miserable or things like that. So when we talked about doing the show, me and Pat actually went back and forth on this, and there was a seminar I gave years ago that was called Surviving Your Cancer, and I wanted to share just some of those things, because everybody says, well, I don't have cancer, so what does that have to do with me? And I said, well, surviving your cancer, and when I said that, it wasn't about an illness. It wasn't about a diagnosis from a doctor. It was about certain things that you go through in life that you have to overcome that can become cancerous in a way.
Like toxic, right?
Correct. And there were 5 points, cancer, if you could, it's 6 points, I really. The C is carrying your past baggage, carrying things from the past that continue to hold you back from living your life. The A for anxiety, you're letting the anxiety and stress in your life continue to just bring you down. The N for negative attitude. What you say to yourself every morning. If we get up in the morning and say, oh, I'm already living yesterday's problems, then today hasn't even started yet and you're already going backwards. You're not even starting your day.
Absolutely, and on the show, I can't tell you how many times last year we talked about where your mind goes, your energy flows.
Correct.
So you need to stop that in its tracks.
Absolutely, and and people will say, well, it's not. I don't really say negative things. I say no, but you surround yourself with negative people, or you allow yourself the atmosphere to bring you down, and then you believe those words, and then you never go forward from it. The C as choices by fear. Instead of having faith in things or believing in yourself, you make choices out of fear. You don't quit a job, or you do quit a job out of fear, or you walk away from something out of fear, or you run away. Most people run away instead of actually getting it. The E is for expenses and things that are financial, that are holding you back. I always believed that God's dreams didn't have a budget. So
I like that.
He didn't give you a budget for your dreams. To me, God, He created the world, so basically He owns everything.
Right.
So He didn't create a budget for your dreams, and most people think, okay, when I have this, I'll go for this.
Then I can do this.
And that's not what He taught me. It wasn't about a budget, because it was when I had nothing that he gave me my biggest blessing. It was when I was ill, that people literally came to my aid, and people, I always say I felt like I went to my funeral and everybody showed up. It was such a
Wow.
blessing. And then finally the R for cancer would be relationships, you know, who you surround yourself with, and the people that are around you. And you know, Patrick knows this as well, when you're not just training for competition, because he trains everybody and not just competitors.
Right.
You know, there's certain things that you have to kind of let go. You know, you have to keep climbing that ladder and not let those people hang on to your legs or your arms or your back and continue to bring you down. And you surround yourself with that atmosphere, you surround yourself with those people that are able to push you and lift you. And I talk to my clients all the time and my friends all the time. I tell them, listen, you are being held back by certain relationships, you're being held back by certain things. That's what I meant by surviving your cancer. It's basically looking at your life and say, how many things can I let go of in 2016 right now?
Right.
How many things can I just let go of and just expect, you know, abundance and expect all these other great things to happen. And you know, Patrick will attend to that. As a trainer, you basically say to your clients, listen, in nutrition, you know, there's certain aspects, and
Yes.
then you go listen to those people. And the biggest thing I always say is, you know, if you don't like reading like I don't, you know, do visual. I'm a visual audio guy. Listen to books.
Right.
Or
Oh my goodness, there's so many avenues now.
exactly,
Right.
empower yourself with different knowledge, and that's what, you know, me and Pat were talking about, doing seminar series and things like that about, you know, literally giving and empowering people by giving them knowledge. If you have the knowledge, then you can do so much more with it. So it's trying to define that knowledge.
No, I love that.
And
It's true.
giving them an avenue to so they can grow. And you can't grow with all these other things holding you back.
We did a show on support system, and
Remember?
that was
Yes.
a few months back, and I specifically talked about your support system and having that people that you're with, surrounded by, as I attributed much of my success over the summer, winning my shows, in progressing. That wasn't just me doing it. It wasn't a sole act. Yes, I
No.
did the work and the eating and everything it took, but the people that I surrounded myself with, they're the ones that kept me going. And of course, it's a lot of inner drive and motivation.
Yes. You have to suit up
determination.
and show up. I mean, you have
But-
to do your part.
You know, I had the support system and people pushing me to excel, and the people that weren't, bye-bye. I mean, and in life, there's never an easy decision, and I think that all of us can attest to that, but sometimes you have to make those decisions easy. And like you said, you can't dwell on the things that are holding you back, you just have to let them go. No matter how hard it is, you just have to let it go, because you will only excel to be your best and move forward if you're able to let the negative things go.
Well, and it's interesting that we're even touching on this, because I've noticed, and it's sometimes difficult, challenging to stay in the mindset, but when you're letting certain things, whether it be situations, relationships, decisions you've made, the past, when you are letting them go, it almost feels like it creates space for other, right?
Correct. You have to
Other
empty.
things
You have to
come
empty the
in.
closet. Correct.
Yes, so you have to give that opportunity the chance to happen. You know, it's just like giving time some time. You know, when people get impatient and think that, you know, things are supposed to happen on our own schedule and whatever we have in our human mind. Well, it doesn't always work that way. And so I've seen over the last couple months, while I've had to let certain situations, certain things go, and you know, sometimes it's emotional to do that, other doors have opened.
Correct.
And they truly have. And staying plugged into gratitude and knowing that it takes a village and that we're all on this earth to help each other, I think those things impact what's happening in your life as well.
Yeah, and one more thing that you just touched on is, you know, you have to make a choice. You know, I say this all the time. The doctors were doing their part. God did his part, of course, and then I had to do mine. There was a time that I finally said, okay, I'm 128 pounds. I just survived 3 rounds of chemo, and what can I do? Because I was supposed to die 2 months before. I had 3 days to live, and all of a sudden I'm still alive. So I'm, okay, God, you're doing your part. The doctors are certainly doing theirs. What do I have to do? And that was the hardest choice, is to say, okay, what do I have to do? And I said, I went to the gym. And it lasted about 5 minutes, but I went to the gym.
But you did it.
And
You got up.
and it was a pain that was different than the pain I already had. So to me, it was, okay, now this is my part. This is going to be my sacrifice. This is what I have to do. And the eating and the working out, and that became part of my regimen when I came home after chemo. And my doctors were like, well, you're crazy.
Incredible.
But I said, well, I'm crazy enough to believe I'm gonna be alive, and everybody believes I'm not. So if God can prove everybody wrong, then, I think I'm not
Right.
gonna be crazy, but I'm gonna continue to say that I'm healed.
Absolutely.
And when I said that, it became, that's what became the path. When I said I was healed, I said, well, I became.
It catapulted you, right?
Correct.
Like a trajectory path.
And I was still in the middle of it. I was still in the middle of the chemo rounds. I did 7 rounds, but I had to say, okay, I am healed. And it was through a couple of brothers in Christ, like I call them, and they were like, David, you're already healed, and that was it.
You're there.
And from there, of course, it was a long journey. And as I work on my documentary and I work on the book, those were things that people would get to really see the miracles in that one miracle that I always say, well, you're healed. That's just one miracle. There were so many people that were touched through that year of my life that I hope to be able to share through the documentary and through the book.
Well, I think this is fascinating. I'm so unbelievably grateful that we have the opportunity to be doing this today and all sitting in the same room.
Well, so far we've introduced our guest, David Octavio Gandell, and he is telling us his story and sharing his experience with surviving cancer, not once but twice. And I really am proud of this show, I think more so than any other, because I hope, and it's my goal to reach as many people as possible.
Same
and so
here.
we've really just kind of touched on the edges about what his experiences are and were going through his bout with cancer, and I'd like to hear more about it.
Yes.
And I have a few questions that I'd like to get answers on the mindset during that process. And so with that being said, I'll pass it back over to David, and maybe you can tell us from the time that you found out you were diagnosed with cancer, what was your mindset at that time?
Well, the first time in 2004, it took me about 7-8 months to finally actually go to a doctor. So when I wrote for the Herald last year, we talked about how men don't get tested, don't go to the doctor as much as women. And it was actually a fact to me, because it literally took me 7-8 months to make the appointment. And when I finally got the appointment, I went to the urologist said it was cancer.
I don't mean to cut you off, but it's interesting because you were what, 28, 29 years old?
I was 29 that year, yeah.
Right, so how many people, when 29 was quite a while ago for me, but how many of us in our 20s actually even understand the fact that the time here is finite and that our health is our wealth? And
Correct.
so here you are living your life, right? And you're obviously not a hypochondriac, so I would think that you're thinking there's something wrong, but it'll go away.
Correct.
Okay.
And even with the signs and everything like that, I just kind of prayed on it and said, okay, it's going to go away. And it just wasn't my road. My road was exactly what I walked through. And that's what I always say to people. It's like, I'm not, if I had to do it again and know the fact that I am here today doing what I'm doing, especially what I've done for the last 10 years of my life, I would go through it again. It's such a blessing for the people that I've met. I wouldn't have met you, maybe. I haven't, there's a lot of people in this journey that I wouldn't have met through it.
Yes, I know what you mean by that, yes.
And, I'm one of those people that, I'm very passionate, I'm very over the top, and I love a lot, I love deep. So when people come into my life, and I always, I'm a lot, and I know I am, but I wish people just kind of took the time to get to learn what I went through to understand who I am.
And why.
Yeah, because
right?
To me, like Patrick said, every single day, to me, is my last day. I literally live like that, because I cannot, tomorrow, anything can happen in this world that we live in now, but I don't even think about the world, I think about just my surroundings. But I can wake up tomorrow and it's not here anymore. So, the good thing is I have peace, I believe in God, I know where I'm going, but besides that, I live like that. Like when people say, well, I'll call you next week, or I'll come back next week, or, David, just give me some time. It's like, I wish people understand where I'm coming from sometimes. I said, God, just please, I hope they just get to realize why I am the way I am. It's because I don't live for tomorrow. I live today. And I know the changes that can happen like that.
Right,
So
right.
when you know that and you've seen it and you've seen miracles and you've seen people like literally change their whole life in a second, just like Patrick, you know, as a trainer, people come to him in that one consultation, they can change so much, and then after
Very
that,
true.
even if they don't train with him, but just that one
The seed has
conversation,
been
the seed has been
planted.
planted.
Yes.
So all I ask my friends, those are the frustrations that I go through, is because I want to be a blessing. And the only way I can be a blessing is I need to understand what you're going through. So as a life coach or as a friend, I want to
Yes.
learn as much as I can from you. But it's weird because people don't look at it that way. They're like, oh, there's always tomorrow. Oh, I'll start my diet on Monday. Or I'll do this on next year. Or I'll do
Taking
that.
for granted, because we're
Right.
human, right?
Yeah.
And we tend to do that, but like Patrick had asked, I mean, it's true, like I look at you and you are this just ball of energy, you know, you're sitting here and you light up this room, and I'm wondering also, so you get this diagnosis, and then what? I'm sure every type of thought had to have gone through your mind.
Well, I already knew I had cancer. I just didn't have it confirmed.
Okay.
It was already in my, like I said,
So
in my spirit, in my soul. I
you
already knew
just,
what I was going
On
to
a
go.
soul level, knew.
Yeah, I just
Okay.
didn't know. But there were certain things that happened those 2 years, and one was building a relationship with God to know that, you know, if anything or anyone was going to help me through it, it was God. It wasn't going to be me or anybody else or a diet or whatever. It was
Something bigger than all of
correct.
us.
There's instruments that help, of course.
Well-
I did holistic treatment, didn't work for me. I did injections, it didn't work for me, vitamins and things like that. I did all my research that I could to fight this cancer. It
Okay.
didn't work for me because it wasn't my road. That's why I always tell people, it's like, when people send me, oh, well, this works for cancer, this works for, no, listen, everyone has their own journey.
Okay.
And every chemo doesn't work for everybody, because we all have a different DNA. We all have we're uniquely and
Yes.
wonderfully made, like I would say, but we are, as much as we that, no twin is the same. You know, there's always something different about every single individual, just like your fingerprint is different. Every single thing. So one chemo might not work for somebody else. The other fact is, people have been eating differently their whole lives. So two people don't eat the same.
No.
You know, they might eat the same for a season, they're competing
Right,
or something like that,
absolutely.
but they don't eat the same period. So there's different things that happen as soon as you feed your body, as soon as you drink, as soon as you do whatever, and your stress level, that are very different from 20 years ago. You know, we look at food
Okay.
today, and a piece of pizza was 200 calories, now it's 700 calories. A burger was 200 calories, now it's 900 calories. So when you look at what has changed in our food and what's changed in our nutrients and the world, the
Yes.
environment, and the stress level that we live today is not what it was 20 years ago. So you can't be surprised that illnesses and these things are happening
Right,
in
there
the
really
world.
are no surprises with
Correct.
this.
But I also believe that there is a purpose for each of us. So that means that
Okay.
if we go through something, it's for us to share. If we, and that might not for everybody, you know?
But David, at the same time, like, from what I've listened to and looked at to research your situation, the amount of chemo you were given, I mean, you were at death's door,
98.
literally.
Yes,
Correct?
I did 98 chemotherapies in a period of four and a half months, yeah. And the chemo should have killed me.
I was just gonna say, many people,
But there was no
wouldn't survive
cure.
that.
But there was no cure. So
There's no
it was.
is
we're-
there now any?
No, because again, immature teratoma is different types of cancers. So I had 4 different types, 5 different types of cancers that were growing at the same time, at the same aggressive rate. So it had covered all my organs. And in 2006, when I was re-diagnosed,
Right?
I did the holistic route. It didn't work. In August of 2006, I was in an emergency room in Boca, and then from there I ended up at Jackson Memorial because one doctor made a phone call. One. So I went to him and said, "You're God's instrument." He looked at me like
Right.
I was out of my mind.
But you
I
knew.
said, "I'm not. I've been tested. I'm not crazy."
Mhm. Right.
I was always trying to make him laugh, and it took me about 3-4 months for him to finally laugh.
Okay.
And now he's my best friend, my buddy, Dr. Benedetto. I always pray for you, my friend. And we did an interview for a Spanish television station last year, and they surprised me with interviewing him on live camera. And the message that he gave, I couldn't control myself, because to hear him talk about faith, which was the first thing I said to him when I got to the hospital in August 2006, for him to go from one end of the spectrum to where he is now, talking about my faith gave him faith to keep going with this treatment and believing that I was going to I was gonna fight and go through it. I had already made that choice to fight. A lot of people don't make the choice to fight, unfortunately. They
Okay.
allow the diagnosis to diagnose their to basically
Right.
declare that death sentence. And I would say cancer was not a death sentence, cancer is just another challenge.
Okay.
And I'm not saying that to make people feel bad about it. It's not that. I'm just saying
I
that
know.
in my life, that's what had to happen for me to do what I'm doing today. And that's not for everybody.
So it was more of a, it's easy for me to say obviously, but a stepping stone. And maybe a test, and if you were able to go through that and withstand what you did, then it would bring you to a better place than you might have been had it
Correct.
not happened.
Correct, and that's why, when we were putting this show together, and I talked to Patrick, that surviving your cancer, that was important because, there's a lot of people that I know that go through divorce, and their life is over. Or they have a job in a corporate setting, and they're let go because of whatever happened in the world.
Right.
There are certain things that happen, and they allow that circumstance to become their life because they don't know who they are without a title. They don't know who they are not being a husband or a wife because they've
Okay.
lived for that other person. I tell my friends all the time, you're supposed to live your life, they're supposed to live theirs, and then you live
And
one
then you
together.
come together.
But if you're not living your purpose, then you're living someone else's. That is not a balance in the world where you're supposed to be. Your partner's supposed to be supportive, but they're supposed to also do something great, and you're supposed to be supportive of what they're doing. But it has to come
Absolutely.
together. So when one person's doing great and the other one isn't, there is an imbalance, and it takes some people years to get to the point where I said, I'm not happy. But they've
Okay.
already wasted so many years instead of communicating.
Right, right.
So when I look at coaches, for example, we go through this whole thing with the sports world, but as trainers, we always like sports analogies.
Yes, of course.
But there's let's just put the coach of the team that he resigned. And at the end of the day, if everybody sees him as, this is him, just one title, he's coach so-and-so. And
I like
what is
that.
the rest of his life gonna be?
Right.
Oh, he doesn't have that anymore. And that's
Don't
why I
get
was
boxed in.
correct, and that's the world we live in. Unfortunately, it is like that. People don't look past that, and they continue to believe, okay, well, I spoke to somebody who lost their child, and my mother and me. It's hard for my mother to even listen to this show or anything like that because she lived my suffering. She suffered greatly. So did my dad. So when I speak to mothers and dads, and if that's their only child, they think, oh, I'm not a mother anymore. That's how they believe, and that's the hardest conversation that I've had because
Right.
you're still a mother, and you did your part in this world.
Right.
But then maybe through that loss, you're supposed to help other children that are going through. They don't have somebody, and that love that you have for your child might transcend to somebody else. And again, every situation is different, but that to me,
Sure.
I feel it personal because I saw my mom suffer, and thank God that I'm still here to love her, my dad, I'm so grateful to have them still alive, but that doesn't mean that your life stops, is what I mean. It's like
Right.
you're supposed to, there's other things across from there that you're supposed to learn from.
And there's always something worse.
And keep living.
Any situation, right, that you might be going through, there's always a story of someone that's going through something that may look worse, but sometimes the worst is the blessing.
And that's why I call the title of the documentary "Cancer Was a Blessing." People are like, how could that be a blessing? Because I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now. That's the
Yeah.
bottom line. I wouldn't have met
Yeah.
who I've met. I wouldn't have been able to have the platforms that I've had. And the joy that I feel seeing people live their purpose, literally, that's the hardest thing for people to do. I talk to my friends and clients all the time. I'm like, listen, just listen to me. You're meant to do more. You're supposed to do more.
There's
Just
a purpose.
let me
Have the
spend an
vision.
hour with you. I'm not trying to change your mind. I'm not trying to do it.
No.
I can't change anybody's mind. I always say that.
None of us have control.
But I
right.
promise you that when I say something or when God reveals something in your life, you're gonna know exactly what that is, and then that's gonna give you enough, to keep going.
A little kernel of hope,
Exactly.
some faith.
And before faith, I spoke about faith the other day. I had an opportunity to speak at this amazing church, and you know, the title changed multiple times in my life, in my mind that week, but it became, how do you have faith when there's no hope? And you know, I guess what God was revealing to me was, you know, we all have faith in something. We might not have faith in God, but you're having faith in something. Even if you
Yes.
say, I don't believe in something bigger than me, the universe or whatever, then that means you're believing in something. You're believing that there's
Right.
nothing.
You
Or
believe there's nothing, right,
or you
right.
believe that you're it. And I said, I hope I'm not it, because I can't do the things that God put in my spirit to do by myself.
Mm-mm.
I need other people, I need support, I need everything, because you can't do it by yourself. But hope is the one thing a lot of people lose, and especially when you go through cancer, that is the number one thing I always find, is people lose that hope immediately. As soon as you're told you have 3 months to live, or you have 3 days to live in my case, you're not gonna live the weekend. I didn't lose hope. And
Let's visit that. Patrick, do you agree? You get told, well, if you don't mind, let's backtrack a minute, because I think this is valuable for our listeners. So you go through this first round, and then you go into remission for what, 6 months, a year? How long?
no, the first time I had cancer in
Mhm.
2004, I had surgery, and that was it.
That was
And
it.
then I got it tested for the next 2 years, and then it came
But-
back in 2 years later.
Now, those 2 years, were you, like, in your mind thinking that it was still there somehow, or no?
Those 2 years I had, like I said, I had visions of me going through
Okay.
exactly what I went through, the baldness, the skinny, you know, no body, whatever. I just didn't know the time frame of that.
But you still had faith?
I started believing that this was my journey, this was my purpose, that I had to go through
Wow.
that to be able to help other people. So when I was in the Steve Harvey show, I mentioned, I believe I was chosen to give this testimony.
Mhm.
So you started accepting it.
I accepted that this was my path.
Uh-huh.
I did not know how it was gonna happen.
Right.
And I did not know how I was gonna make it through. I just had,
But you knew you would?
well, and that's what happened when I finally got to the doctor. That summer I did a lot. That summer I got to see
Oh.
my cousin get married. That summer I hosted Fitness Universe, which is one of the largest shows in the
My
country.
goodness.
That I did a fashion show the first Sunday of August. I was
Okay.
on a runway show in Orlando, Florida, with the cancer, with the pain, with everything. And
So the pain just started to come back?
no, the pain was there the whole time. But when I stepped on that stage, I didn't have any pain. And that's why I would say, you know, people can say your mind is very powerful. Yeah, absolutely. But someone had to give you the
Right,
mind.
right.
Something.
Absolutely.
But yeah, no, I did the runway show. I modeled, and then on my way back, my girlfriend at the time that was with me, she's the one that drove me to Orlando because I was in too much pain. But I did the runway show, and all these people got to see me walk the runway, and with no pain. I walked it like I always did.
Okay.
And then 2 days later, I was in the emergency room on Tuesday, and my doctor said I was done. That was it. And that weekend, on Friday, I started the morphine drip to basically let me go, because the
Right.
pain, I was in a
You
fetal
couldn't-
position, I couldn't move.
You couldn't even bear it.
And then that's when the doctor called from Jackson and Benedetto, and he said, listen, send them down here, we'll try something. And that was, and then I woke up 3 weeks later at 124 pounds. Yeah, I lost
And-
56 pounds.
And your parents, meanwhile, are,
They were with me, yeah, but
And they're-
suffering, yeah.
right, and you're having to see them go through this, and what were you saying? I mean, were you able to speak? What?
Those 3 weeks they've come back little by little. I mean, I remember doing exams, I remember certain things about those 3 weeks, but
Okay.
those 3 weeks are traumatic because my body went through such a physical transition from 180 pounds or whatever it was to 124. So the physical part of it and the mental part of it, I wasn't really there. And then after my second round is kind of when I started almost waking up, but it was really after my third round that I woke up and I actually
Okay.
knew, wait, hold on, this is me. And I knew who I was at that moment.
Okay.
And then after that I said, okay, what can I do now? Everybody's been doing their part. God is only doing his because I've already survived,
You're
not
still
3
here.
days, but more than 3 weeks already. So I started working out, and then it gave me it gave me hope for, like, okay, I'm gonna go to the hospital for 5 days, I do my 14 chemos, I come home, I'm there for a week, and then the second week I'm gonna go to the gym.
So you had this plan.
There was a plan now. Now things were starting. And then
Okay.
the other thing was through prayer. Everything was through prayer. I never say anything different because it's the truth. I
It's
can't
the
give a
truth.
different answer to
No,
people.
I understand.
Through prayer, I had dreams and visions of me hosting again, of me speaking again, of me doing things in front of audiences that the difference was I had short hair, and I had long hair since I was 18. So that one picture that I took when I was 124 pounds, that was the first time I had no hair or short hair in basically over 10 years. So
Wow.
I would never cut my hair for anybody, even my girlfriend or everybody. That was in my life. So when I had no hair, I was looking at myself doing things with short hair, and then I said, okay, well, how can God give me a dream if it's not going to come true? How can God give me a vision if it's not going to come true? Because there's no reason why I'm praying for something and have a dream and not come true. The only way it comes true is if you decide that you accept it and you believe in that dream and you go forward. You know, that somebody once said that the cemetery is full of millionaires, and I truly believe that. There's so many people that just keep living their life. They pass away, and all their dreams and aspirations and goals and everything went with them. We never got to realize their potential or their dreams. So I don't want to go like that. I want to make sure that if I live today, every single person that I call, text, email, that I am there for them, and I tell them, you're my responsibility, even if you don't believe it. God placed you in my life. For a reason. And I said the same thing I told Pat, when we met. When there's a connection in my life, then we're supposed to do something, and when it's a good connection.
No, right, absolutely.
And then you just have to, then you have to just see, okay, how do we put this together? Well, you're brainstorming, there's a plan that comes out, and if it comes out, then it is there. And same thing with partnerships, and I created a faith-based entertainment company to do my documentary. Well, I prayed for years, and nothing ever happened. And then finally, there were two partners that came in, and we finally did Fed to Live Entertainment, and there's a nutritional company that I'm working with, Life Changers Nutrition, and hopefully that will be here this year. But those are all platforms. At the end of the day, the goal is for people to actually go to see what I walk through, and it's through the testimony that you find, your life's purpose. I always believe that. So.
It's very rare, but I'm speechless right now.
Well, I think it's to touch up on it. There's a lot of really, really good points that you made, and I also share the similar belief, and that's I believe in this life. You're as good as what you believe you are, and you can wake up every day, and you can choose to have a good day, no matter what happens that day or how you wake up. Whatever happened the day before, whether it was good or bad, it happened the day before. No matter what I accomplished last summer, it was last summer. It's what today brings, and what can I make of today, and who I meet today. I encourage people in our daily race to get to work, to pay our bills. Slow down, because you never know who you're standing behind in the store. And if you take a second and slow down, you might meet someone like David, or someone that may touch your life in a way that you didn't know was there. And that's certainly something that I've, especially working 10 years in fire rescue, that slowed me down and changed my life in a way that I too, I live every day to the fullest. And
and you haven't just seen loss, you've been part of bringing people back, and you've been part of bringing people to the next.
And it's not something I talk about very often when people, in my fitness world, so I call it, in my life, people don't even realize that I'm a firefighter. I don't exploit it. It's just, it's what I do. But yes, you're right.
Well, and I always say, when I'm boasting about you, because I can boast about you, that you're this mix of passion and authenticity and humility, and you can't judge a book by its cover.
You really can't.
And so yes, you have a backstory, and guess what? So does every single person on this earth.
And that's something that I want to touch on. It's you as a person. You're only as good as who you surround yourself with. Whether you want to be a millionaire, if that's your goal, the best thing you can do is surround yourself with a bunch of millionaires. That's just, and that's life. If you want to be positive and have a great outlook on life, you need to surround yourself with positive people with a positive outlook on life. And that's, this show specifically, having David here, he's someone to reach out to that he can share his experience. And if you're struggling with cancer or know someone that's struggling with cancer right now, what's the best way to defeat it?
Right.
Surround yourself with people that have had it and have beat it.
Yeah.
And do
so,
you talk to caregivers as well?
Yeah, no, I've donated my time a lot to a lot of foundations, a lot of organizations, and eventually I want to have a children's foundation to help children with cancer and their families. But the big point is, even, and then people will say in the radio, it's like, oh wait, hold on, I don't know any millionaires, how do I know them? Well, you can research it, you can listen to their videos, you can read their books, you can,
Right,
that's
it doesn't
and
mean that you have to
correct.
sit next
You don't
to
really have to sit
physically
next
in
to,
the room.
exactly,
Right,
you know,
right.
you don't have to sit next to the people from Shark Tank,
No.
but they have the books to share how they became millionaires, how they became billionaires, and you'll always find in those people, that, especially the ones that stay, and that actually stay there, not the ones that go up and down,
No.
but the ones that stay there, you always find that it was through a really, really dark time, through a really a test or a challenge that they went through, that they were able to get to where
Yes.
they were.
And something that really touches my heart is that you'll also find that they give back.
Yes,
They give back.
Correct.
They approach their lives with gratitude.
correct.
And so I try to instill that in my boys. You know, we end our days with gratitude prayers.
Yes.
And if the little ones say, well, I had a bad day, Mommy. Okay, then know it. Be thankful it's over.
Correct.
There's always something to be thankful for.
That's
But
right.
Patrick, if people want to get in touch with you, let our listeners know how they can do that.
well, you can go on my website. It's www.worldphysique79.com. You can look me up on Facebook and Instagram, the same, Patrick J. McBride on Facebook, and World Physique 79 on all social media, Instagram, Twitter.
Okay.
And also email me, worldphysique79@gmail. And whether it's questions on nutrition, training, friendly advice, I'd be happy to answer any questions and lend a friendly ear. So.
Wonderful, and I appreciate that, and I'm sure the listeners do as well. And give us a time frame. So we're looking at 60, 90 days, great things happening, right? I mean,
Every day. Again, today's a great day. I'm here with you guys, and a lot of good stuff to come. And over the next even a week, this weekend we're having a big posing seminar free at my new
Wow.
studio up in Stewart. And for more information, you can email me. But we're
That's
having
great.
NPC judges, some IFBB pros come, and it's a free event. Again, it's people that are sharing their time, that have a lot of experience, and that are very passionate about giving back. And this is, again, surrounding yourself with positive people that want to help. And that's just, I really believe that that when you surround yourself with people like this, you can give back, and all the fruits of life will come to you. And everything that you wanted, and you can still get back, like you said. So that's what we're doing this weekend. That's the soonest, nearest event this
Yay,
Saturday. So
yay, I'm gonna have to get there. And
So.
David, same with you. How can people reach you?
Just pretty much in any way, David Octavio Gandell, and of course it's going to be on Guided Embrace, a radio show. You guys can from there find me on Facebook, David
Okay.
Octavio Gandell, or Twitter, or Instagram, or anything like that, or my email is the same thing as my name, davidoctaviogandell@me.com. But if you just look through anything, videos or articles or whatever, and you just link, and you'll find my email somewhere or send me a message somewhere. But that was my biggest thing, make sure that people know that, you can send me anything. I would love to hear your testimony. I would love to hear,
Nice.
anything that you're going through, so I can pray over it, and certainly, continue this journey, because I always say, okay, that testimony is over. But now the new testimonies are gonna be the ones that I get to listen to from other people. And I
Nice.
wanna be that blessing to give you that hope, so you can actually get to where you need to be, and then I wanna be part of it. I wanna witness it.
Well, and I don't want to overstep here, but I don't know, just have a sneaky suspicion that you're going to be back here on Guided Embrace with us again too. What do you think? You're feeling that?
It's
I
well,
think
it's
it
not
could
it's not a
happen.
bad drive. It's a good drive from South Beach for sure. But the biggest thing, I got a great message from one of my brothers. I call him my brother in Christ. He's an NFL player, and he's out of school right now. And he's like, David, I'm listening to the message on my earpiece right now,
Aw.
because they won't let me put it they don't come
Right.
to school. But you know, Butch is always great hearing from you, man. God bless you. You know, he's an NFL pro, ex-NFL pro, and now he's
Nice.
actually also has a children foundation to help other children. So, you know, those are the people that I always believe God placed in my life. Like I told Pat, I just think that we're supposed to do something.
Yep, no coincidence.
We don't need to know what it is yet,
No,
but it'll
no,
be there.
exactly, but it will be there.
But you know, I just, you know, again, people just, you know, my biggest message is to, you know, find hope, have faith, and live every day with a purpose. Every single day has a huge purpose, and no matter what you're going through, just like Pat said, you know, just basically go through and look at other people that are gone through something, and even if you wake up in the morning in a bad mood, just turn in some kind of video or music or something to get you off the mood. And you know, I'll always say the same thing. You know, I start my day with a prayer. Thank you, God, for my life, and
Yes.
God bring people into my life that I may be a blessing to.
Yes.
And so every time I reach to somebody, you know, I know my friends are listening right now, but trust me, I do it with love. I just don't want you to go through any challenges you don't have to go through.
No,
I feel like I can help you through them.
I feel that, it resonates with me, the sincerity and just there are no coincidences, I don't think. Just
Never.
the fact that you're even on our show. And Dad, if you're listening, as always, I love you, and I wish everybody all things bright and beautiful until we meet again on Guided Embrace Radio.